Hello, my name is Malcolm Mundy. I'm an astrologer here in Austin, Texas, and this is the Federal Reserve portion of my 2012 predictions. Anyway, the Federal Reserve as an entity was born on December 23rd, 1913, 6:02 p.m., Washington, D.C. This was at the time Woodrow Wilson gave his radio announcement saying, "I am now putting my signature on the act as of 6:02 p.m. At this time, there were no Congress people in town. They were all on Christmas vacation. There was a few select people that were in, and these were the people that wanted this act passed, and they were reportedly rewarded handsomely by the banks for this. The Federal Reserve is not a government function. It's a private corporation owned by a few shareholders that are namely the largest banks in the world. In fact, if you go to the Yellow Pages in Washington, D.C. and look up Federal Reserve, you will find it right by Federal Express. Hence, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation and it's no more federal than Federal Express is. It's an organization that regulates the nation's money supply by lending it. People say, oh, they print it, you know, and so we got a wonderful money machine, a wonderful free ATM, but the reality is that the Federal Reserve lends this to us. That's why if you look at a dollar bill, it says Federal Reserve note. A note is an instrument of indebtedness. And so if you're wondering how our national debt got to be 9 trillion plus, this is how. And it's on the, it's how many elected officials have stayed in office, and it's also why we're in the financial mess we're in. Anyway, the Federal Reserve has Jupiter in the 10th house until late April. The Federal Reserve has been great at protecting its reputation, even if it's really despicable, as many people claim it to be, namely Ron Paul. Ron Paul did manage to get in a partial audit, so I was wrong about Ron Paul not being able to get into an audit. A couple of people pointed that out to me regarding my 2011 predictions. But he didn't get a full audit, but he did get information that pertained to billions of dollars being lent to overseas banks, namely in Europe, and we'll probably see those fail, and that will be some more money at waste that will be put on the shoulders of the U.S. taxpayer. Jupiter goes into the 11th house in late April and will be there for the rest of 2012. I think that's going to be the Federal Reserve including a lot more memberships via ownership of stock and financial instruments of troubled financial institutions in the United States. In order to prevent multiple bank failures, I think they're going to be buying a lot more bad paper, so to speak, to keep the banks afloat. And in the process, this will enhance their membership, their associates, or their shareholders, so to speak, because 11th house rules your associates, your friends, your aspirations, and includes the same thing in terms of corporation charts as your other companies that you own or have an interest in and so forth. And this is going to expand them in the form of bad banks. Next we have Saturn. Saturn's going to be in the 4th house all year. The Federal Reserve's already announced its intentions that it plans not to raise interest rates until the year 2014. Hence, there's not going to be really a need for any more meetings. The 4th house is the main building, the main headquarters, the main office. Saturn rules restrictions and limitations. So there's not going to be really that much activity there in terms of meetings and things of that nature. And if there are going to be any, they're going to be very restrictive, as you would expect Saturn to be. The Federal Reserve meeting room, incidentally, has 12 inches of lead that's surrounded, and ceiling, roof, walls, and they do not want you to know what they're up to. Okay, Uranus is going to be in the 10th house all year. Uranus rules technology and communications, and the 10th house is your reputation, your goal in life. I think this is also going to reflect on their goal for their operations. And I think because Uranus rules technology, I think you're going to see more technology applications that's going to allow more, it's going to facilitate ease of operations and what the price of the securities are going to be, and allow other entities to purchase the securities. I also think There's going to be enhanced U.S. government operations in terms of U.S. instruments of debt, such as their bonds, and because I think they're going to force purchase on these in the public in the form of tax advantage investments. And so we'll watch for that. Next we have Neptune. Neptune's going to be in the 8th house all year. As was the case with Ron Paul, I think the Federal Reserve's investments are going to take a hit because they're going to be invested in bad banks to prevent them from falling down, and hence I think their investments are going to suffer. And I pretty much will leave it at that. Then we have Pluto. Pluto's going to be in the 6th house all year, and the 6th house is the house of open criticism. Fortunately for the Fed, Jupiter rules this house and is not afflicted, and hence I think you're going to see continued open criticism of the Fed, maybe from Ron Paul, maybe from other people, and I think you're going to probably see that from some of the Republican candidates running for office. You will not see that from Barack Obama, because the Federal Reserve has been completely supported by him throughout his 4 years. Hence, no attacks from the Federal Reserve, at least on him, by him. But you're going to see that, I think, in the Republican camp, and it's not going to be of much success. It'll probably just be token criticism to keep up with Ron Paul. And there probably will be more open criticism of the Fed, but with Pluto in a house that is unafflicted, I think you're going to see them get away with it just as they got away with the audit bit. And I don't think there's going to be any types of surprises in terms of surprise interest rates or anything like that, at least until next year, or 2014. I'll have to look into that. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, and we're now going to go into the New York Stock Exchange.